onboard computer synchronization.
Now entering the nexus of geekery and guy world. In 3, 2, 1, mark.
Hello, IT? Have you tried turning it off and on again?
This is the Dudes in Hyperspace podcast. Presented by IJMBooks.com.
Hey kids, welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dudes in Hyperspace podcast. I'm your host as always, Ian J. Malone. Going to be joined in just a second by my buddy Dave Daniels. Brother Esther has the night off. Before we get into all of that though, you know the spiel by now, we're online at thedudesinhyperspace.com. You can learn more about the show, learn more about the host, buy some swag, even become a sponsor if you're interested. So go there and let us know. Again, that's dudesinhyperspace.com. We also do the social media thing at the Hyperdudes on Twitter, and we're on Facebook via our Facebook group. So just run a search for Dudes in Hyperspace Podcast. It'll come right up, and you are good to go. And then finally, you can always email the show at dudesinhyperspace@gmail.com. So got a question for Dude Mail, or just want to weigh in with a thought, then that is how you do it. So without further ado, one of my partners in crime this evening, Brother Dave Daniels. How are we doing tonight, sir?
Doing fantastic, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You sound like you're no longer in the laundromat. I thought you were off in the mighty metropolis of Tallahassee doing laundry somewhere.
Sir, when the dryer is done and the clothes are being folded, we no longer have to have the laundromat noises, so we're good.
Oh man, jokes aside, good grief. We're gonna date ourselves with this little story, but story time. Dave and I were roommates just after I wrapped undergrad at Florida State, and it was at a time when it was a luxury to have your washer and dryer in your actual apartment. You had to go to the crappy little laundromat that was there on site at your apartment complex, or you had to go to a laundromat business. Do your clothes.
On crappy.
Good Lord. Yeah, you drop the little quarters in the slots and chunk it in, and then half the time the slide gets locked and you're screwed. Yeah, that used to piss me off. But anyway, I vividly remember, I want to say it was after he and I moved out into places of our own. Both of those apartments had laundry in the actual unit. You had a washer and a dryer in the actual unit. So it was like magic, man. I'd call Dave and be like, yo, what you doing? I'm doing laundry, sir. What are you doing? I'm doing laundry too. I'm on load number 3 as we speak. Got another one going in. So
that took place on our landlines
right.
From inside our apartments as well. So you want to really date that, we'll go ahead and go that direction.
While downloading music off of LimeWire and Napster. So,
I remember having a pager at that point too, I think.
Yeah,
it was
from
work-related,
Beeper
though.
Kings.
It was not a personal pager.
Anybody from Tallahassee in our generation remembers the Beeper Kings. Like, that was where you went. I had a little teal one, remember the little teal one that I got from the radio station?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
yeah, we're definitely getting older. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, you know what, man? Sometimes I'm here to provide a dose of reality. It's just comes with the job of being show host. But so I'm going to do things a little bit differently this evening. Don't have news. We're actually not even going to do a Dude Mail segment this evening. When the three of us sat down to kind of map out what we wanted to do for a Thanksgiving episode, we thought, why not just talk about the stuff that we're thankful for? And when you get right down to it, this is not the easiest of years to be able to do that for a whole lot of people, man. You look around what 2020 has been. I think I can speak for all of us and everybody I know online when I say I, friends, am ready to flip this year the double bird and turn the calendar to 2021. But
Amen.
Yes. But, let's not skate on past the part when I personally have a whole crap load of stuff to be thankful for. So in the spirit of the holiday, that's kind of the conversation topic of the night. I got to start with the fact that I got a job. That is no small deal. You look around the country at what's happening to so many small businesses, people in the restaurant industry who leveraged everything to live the dream. They cashed out 401ks. They put everything they had into saying, I'm going to own a burger joint, or I'm going to start a brunch place because I know how to make crepes and I think I can bring something to my community. And they're all scrambling now just to get a greeter job at Walmart to be able to hopefully have something to eat at Thanksgiving. there's not a day that goes by that I am not grateful for my day job. And I love writing. Writing is a blast. Anybody who follows me knows that it's a very big part of who I am and what I do. Doesn't change the fact that writing, more times than not, really doesn't pay the bills. And I am grateful that I have a job that, affords me the luxury to be able to do the things that I do and pay bills and occasionally go out for a nice bite to eat with the missus from time to time. Maybe even take a little vacation, go catch a long weekend at the beach or something like that, knowing full well that I've got something to clock back into come 8 o'clock on Monday morning. So right off the top, man, I'm thankful that I am one of those people that I have a job, because in 2020, there's a crap load of people who don't.
Oh, absolutely, man. I definitely the same on this, and there's so much that goes on, and this year's just been something else when it comes to that, and just everything, and it's being able to, one, I mean, you and I just spent some time together last weekend, being able to get on a plane, stay as safe as possible, get up there, spend some time, relax, just be in that moment, be in that time, and go through and just be able to find everything that this year has been, and find those high spots. It's been something else, man. I agree with you. You gotta focus on the important things. You gotta focus on the things that are there in front of you, and find the important stuff that you can be thankful for. And there's got to be something for everybody.
I will tell you, on the much more superficial end of things, another thing I'm thankful for, a turkey fryer, which came in the mail this week, my friend. Yes,
You're
sirree.
welcome.
Yeah, let's sidetrack for just a second. We're going to get off onto a tangential discussion, as it were.
With food.
Talk to me about the turkey fryer. Now, you have experience with this. I am a total rookie at this. I've got got an injection kit. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of injection action here. A little Tony Chicheras, which I'm a big fan of. I am also, someone once told me that you can brine it in apple juice. Like the girl that I know who's a very big foodie, she highly recommends that you brine turkey in apple juice. Not apple cider, just straight up apple juice. So those are the 2 pointers I've got. What else would you advise, sir, in your wisdom?
I've done the apple juice thing before. There are a couple. I would look online for a specific type of brine. I think there's things that go along with it that you can add in that go along with that apple juice to make it kind of sit through. Turkey's always gonna soak up what's around it, so that's important to go through and just kind of see what other people have tried. We always tweak stuff as you go through, because you know what you like, what you don't like. It's never a bad thing to take something and rub some brown sugar on it. I've never tried that personally with a turkey, but I would think that that would probably do well. There's so many options. Turkey just takes in everything around it so well.
Now, do you do the injection thing when you do yours?
I have done both.
Okay.
I've done both. I've done it without, and I've done it with. And the big part of the injection thing is you just don't want stuff that's too thick, because then you end up with clumps inside the meat when you try to eat it, and all you have are these huge flavor clumps where you have a little bit of flavor, and then all of a sudden you bite in and there's a huge just bite of whatever you've put into it at that point in time.
Okay. Now, when you don't do the injection, how do you season your bird?
Typically, I try to rub the outside of it in between the skin with butter and just whatever seasoning that I enjoy, to whatever it is you want to get into, whatever you like. You and I have been through the Slappy Mama stuff, the Cavenders, the Greek seasoning. All of that stuff works. All it is just adding stuff to it. You really, you get the chance to be an artist at that point in time. You know what you like, you know how things go. It's the same thing as taking a piece of meat and putting it on the smoker, whatever you put on. It's the exact same thing.
Okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, I'll definitely report back. There will probably be pictures on the Facebook and Twitter machines as to how that turned out. I am also dabbling around with Instagram now, so for people who do the Instagram thing, it turns out they finally figured out how to make a social network that's built exclusively on pictures, accessible for people with sight disabilities. So it's a little interesting, having your phone explain to you or describe a picture to you, but I can't access it, and I can get the text and all of that. So I'm back on Instagram at IJM Books if you want to throw me a follow, and it's just a lot of the stuff that I do with graphics and pictures of food and pretty well just whatever I feel like at the moment I click post.
Well, let's get you helping out, man. You got to have the lingo right. To the kids, it's not Instagram, it's Insta.
Oh,
You're
it's
on the
Insta. Is that
It's
what
Insta.
is that what the kiddies call it? Is Insta? It's not IG or Instagram. It's
Well, see,
it's
there was an ideation of it where it was called the IG for a little bit, but now it's
Okay.
it's the Insta.
So
Hey,
it's
have
not
you
the
checked out my
IG
post on
anymore.
Insta? No, it's
On-
not IG. And
Okay.
At some point in time, I'm sure we'll get it down to Inst.
Right.
Have you checked out my Inst post?
Well, they can't
But,
they can't make stuff short enough for this generation because they have the attention span of a gnat. So I could have a whole podcast about how worried I am about the next generation and where kids are going. Yeah, that would go to some very dark places with me. But, fingers crossed that I'm wrong and they don't burn down the world because they're too busy looking at a phone.
Sir, have there been people trespassing on your yard lately? Are you out front with your shotgun and your
Get
your
off
cup
my
of coffee?
lawn. Yeah, no, it's that's an off-air discussion right there with bourbon, a lot of it, whole lot of it.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Well, we did enough of that last weekend for the duration of the year, honestly.
I have no memory of that. I don't know what you're talking
That's
about.
right. Jack and Rich were terminated with extreme prejudice last weekend. But yeah. So anyway, moving on. Another thing I'm really grateful for, and this is much more on the lighthearted end of things. Being a sports guy, it is really weird to go through a weekend when you don't have anything to watch. And I know I'm gonna get called a homer for this and whatever. Give you guys a reason to get on Twitter and berate me. I don't care. I don't give a crap. I'm grateful for NASCAR. All right, when you're looking at May, okay, and we didn't know really what this virus was. We just knew that everything was shut down. We were all locked in our houses. Nobody was going anywhere. Your delivery guy, would come to the door and leave your food 10 yards away from your front door because it was nobody knew how far to get or how close to get or how to stay away. It was crazy. Nothing was open, and all of sports was shut down. All of television was shut down because nobody was filming anything new. So, while we're waiting for shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and whatnot, I mean, it was all of that stuff was shut down, so they couldn't film it. So there was literally nothing to do. And NASCAR was the first major sport, quote unquote, to come back. And because of NASCAR, you got the NBA, you got the NFL, you got college football, because a lot of those protocols, safety protocols that the other sports are using, NASCAR was the petri dish by which those were created. All right. Everybody called NASCAR and said, how did you do it? Because they ran their entire freaking calendar. College football, we're ecstatic right now just to get a 9-game season out of our favorite teams or universities. Not in my case, of course. I wish mine would just stop playing right now because they're an embarrassment.
They stopped playing a long time ago.
They really kind of did. But I digress on that. But NASCAR was the first one to put the pieces together to come back. And at a time when there was absolutely nothing to do to distinguish Monday from Saturday because you're at home round the clock with nowhere to go and nothing to do except for whatever your job needs you to do online, the days start to run together real quick and in a hurry. And when the Cup Series came back and the Xfinity Series came back in May, it gave us something, as race fans, it gave us something to look forward to at the end of the weekend. And so my wife and I would plan meals. We do that anyway. We're depending on where they're at. We'll kind of plan a themed meal. We may do, Kansas City style ribs if they're running at Kansas. We like Cincinnati chili when they run at Kentucky, although they're not running at that track anymore starting next year. It gave us something to look forward to, and it gave us something to kind of plan for, to be able to do, to have to look forward to on a Sunday when there really was nothing else to do and nothing else to look forward to. And I read an interview this week about just what a Herculean success that was, that NASCAR was able to run their entire season for all three of their major national touring series, Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks. They got them all in. They ran a 36-race season with exhibition races at Daytona and at Charlotte. They got it all in and crowned their champion. And they did it all in front of no fans or minimal fans. They did it without any major outbreaks. And remember, there's more than race teams at the track every week. There's medical personnel, there's officials. I mean, there is an entire community of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that go to those tracks every week to put on these events. Not one major outbreak. And so the byproduct of that for us as fans is we got something to look forward to on the weekends. And in 2020, man, that was worth its weight in freaking gold. And my hat is off to all of NASCAR, all of the teams and the drivers and the people who get on the track every week, but also the leadership and guys like Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell. The way they had to be so incredibly nimble to completely overhaul their schedule and go to tracks that were never planned, that they were never planned to be at, and just completely throw everything into reverse on a dime to be able to get this in. I mean, and Dave, you can probably speak to this because you've spent a fair time, a fair chunk of your career working around major sports. Logistically, it is an enormous feat to put events like what we're used to attending together. And the fact that they did that for a 36 race schedule and got it all in, my hat is off to them, man. That's no small deal.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can look, dude, just look at even small track stuff. I mean, you figure with the amount of fans or whatever's going on, or whoever happens to be there, you've got to have, even if you don't have fans in the stands, if you've got to have just your drivers there and what's going on, you got to have security people, you have to have the people that run the track, you got to have your backup people, you got to have your medical personnel. I mean, to be able to get that into one spot, you're right. I don't know. It's got to be tough.
You've spent your fair share of time around Doak Campbell Stadium in a number of different capacities down there in Tallahassee and behind the scenes, working at a number of different roles. I mean, look at what it takes just to put on a major college football game, and that's with two teams. By the time you start figuring conference personnel, security, media, and media coverage, I mean, that in and of itself is a major, major deal. And you're talking about a stadium that seats anywhere from 60 to 80,000 people. You start talking about a track, man. that's big timing.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just a testament to those things. I mean, if you look at whenever things have halted in this country with one way or another, and you obviously don't want to, although it is somewhat of a decent comparison, the last time that we had that kind of a halt in this country would have been at 9/11. That's the sports has always been what's kind of brought everything back. And we talked about this at a past episode of what's needed and what goes forward with this. And it's important. It's not one of the things that's the most important thing, but it's that distraction that you need from time to time, whether it's NASCAR, if you want to get into a Japanese baseball, whatever, something to take your mind off of what you're looking at, going through for people that didn't have anything else going on. It became important for all sorts of different reasons. And obviously it's, I'm sitting here while we're talking, watching a football game as it is. And it's just one of those things that becomes important that you've got to be able to push it forward and get people into that spot. If all they're thinking about constantly is the pandemic or whatever's going on in their neighborhood or, the election, and that's all they have to focus on, it's going to be a bleak outlook for people. You got to give them something else to focus on.
Sure, no doubt. Well, what's happening in the Daniels world, man? You look back on 2020, what do you count among your things that you're thankful for?
Oh man, I say there's so much. You health, obviously, got a job, just everything going through. Got engaged this year to an amazing person. That's always important.
Yeah, that's a biggie. That's a biggie.
To have that person that gets you, that you want to spend the rest of your life with. That's an important thing, and the most important thing. And then there's always changes. Things go back and forth. You got to have that constant, and I've definitely found that constant.
Nice.
Other than that, man, it's been it's always got its ups and downs. I lost a dog this year, gaining a dog this year. It's life. It's life, and it's the things that let you know that you're still breathing. And it's good, bad, indifferent. It's always going to let you know that you're there.
Yep, no doubt. Well, another thing I'm exceptionally grateful for, and this is not a 2020 thing. This is just an Ian thing. And anybody who reads my stuff, this theme of family and fellowship and loyalty and community, like that resonates in just about everything that I write. And the reason of that is because, I mean, that's a big deal to me personally. I've been very fortunate through my life to have some wonderful family members around me, some of whom are no longer with us, sadly. Lost a really good one this year in 2020, so that was definitely a bummer here down the stretch. But I count myself very, very, very blessed in that regard that I know some fantastic people. And speaking of, looking forward to spending New Year's with a couple of you bums coming up this year in Florida. So I'm very excited for that. Going to be coming home, get to spend Christmas with the parents and the family back home in Florida, and then ring in New Year's right for 2021 with a bunch of my old crew. So I'm very ecstatic about that.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. See if we can get this next year and see if we can, with the news that's going on about vaccines and all that kind of stuff, and see if we can start moving forward and moving beyond this, and hopefully get back to what is probably going to end up being a new normal, but at least getting back to something that's a little more normal than what we're getting into.
Yeah, well, I can tell you on that front, there are a whole lot of people in very big positions that are every bit as excited about the prospects of these vaccines as you and I are. So that bodes well. I think that's that bodes well for everybody. And the faster they can get those out, from what I understand, I think there's going to be 20 to 40 million doses out there that are going to go. Some of that's going to go to Europe, and then a good half of it or so will stay here. But they'll obviously start with first responders and your most vulnerable populations. But I think the hope is that maybe by late spring, early summer, there's enough to go around for everybody, man. And then we can start talking about getting back together again at a college football stadium the way that's meant to be enjoyed, or a racetrack, or a freaking family cookout where you can safely be able to call 25 or 30 of your closest friends and be like, yo, tailgate at my house. Kickoffs at 3:30. Grill's going to be fired off 11. Beers are going to be cracked at 9. Bring the noise.
Although what will be fun this year for Thanksgiving is with everybody having to sit so far apart, if you're going to get there, you can actually throw the rolls at the relatives you don't like. And if you hit them, not really your fault.
There you go. What all's on the menu for the Daniels house for Thanksgiving this year?
Ooh, let's see.
What you got? Bring it.
We're doing turkey breasts. Oh my
Are you going to
goodness.
fry it or are you going to smoke it this year?
Neither. We're actually going to be roasting it, doing the oven thing this year.
Okay.
Doing the oven thing, and then some corn casserole. Just your staples, man. Some dressing. Mm-hmm. We're doing 4 pies this year.
All right.
4 pies. Yes.
Man, that's bringing the noise. What are your pies?
Apple,
I love some pies, so come on.
Apple, pumpkin. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Apple, pumpkin, pecan.
That's pecan, sir. Don't
Well,
you?
I'm being helped by a northerner, so
No.
I'm mimicking the words.
Well, you know what? Her behind lives in the South now. That's a pecan pie. That is
Yeah,
a
okay.
pecan pie. Don't you stand for that, sir.
It is a pecan pie. Pecan pie. What's the 4th one?
We're doing 2 pumpkin.
Oh,
a
2
pecan,
pumpkin.
And an apple.
We're helping feed some coworkers this year that don't have families in town that have to work and going through. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
I haven't used to work in the media. You know, when you got people that can't make it home, can't be around their family, you want to make sure that they've got that. So this will be the 2nd year we've done that, to make sure that people that don't have the ability to go home and be around their family, they've got someone to be around. They're getting a home cooked meal.
Yeah, I like to do that for people that I work with. We've got security in my main building that I work for my day job, and those are guys who are off-duty cops who are trying to pick up details to make extra scratch to be able to feed their families. And there's security at the building around the clock, so somebody's got to be there at the desk to be able to buzz people in or just keep an eye on the campus or do whatever. And that means come Thanksgiving, while I'm kicking it at my house with my deep fried turkey, which hopefully won't be burnt to a crisp, and all my different pies that we're doing and whatnot, they're going to be working. So yeah, that's a good thing. We try and do a little bit of that ourselves. But
Well, getting back to that deep fried turkey, sir. And
Yeah.
I know it's your first one going through. Just follow the directions. I
Okay.
can't remember exactly how many minutes it is per pound, but you follow those directions straight up. And of course, you're taking my first couple of fried turkeys that I ever did were the ones where you got to try and regulate the temperature through the propane tank, where you're trying to up down, and it's always back and forth.
Yeah.
And I finally did the smart thing, and you and I talked about that, where you set everything up automatically. You tell it what temperature you want it to go to, set your timer, and it all goes through. Man, it's technology is a wonderful thing. We'll just put it that way. If you can set something and walk away from it and come back 20 minutes later and not have to worry about it, or a half hour later or whatever it is, it definitely works a lot better off.
Yep. No, I'm about. Well, hey man, listen, I have burnt my fair share of food because I couldn't see what the heck I was doing. You know, I mean, if I'm grilling chicken, for example, or pork on the grill, typically I'll time that out to where it feels right, and then I'll have my wife cut into it and take a look at the meat inside and make sure everything's on the up and up before I pull it off and serve it. So anytime I can let the machine do it for me, and then I don't have to worry about that, like you said, just follow the instructions, put it in 40 minutes a pound, or 44 minutes a pound, whatever the case is. Yeah, I'm very much a fan of the foolproof cooking because I more times than not need that. So I am a big fan of that. Huge shout out to my wife and my mother-in-law, by the way, for our Thanksgiving this year. They kind of put their heads together and decided that they were going to take that over. And I know we've got some good stuff on tap. In addition to the deep fried turkey, also going to be doing some spiral cut ham, which is never a bad way to go. A little green bean casserole. I know we got some mashed potatoes going on. I think there's maybe a sweet potato souffle going to be in there. And then my wife makes, and this is not sucking up. This is legit. My wife makes the best apple pie I've ever had in my life. I don't know how she does it. I know Granny Smith apples are a big part of it. But it's the best freaking apple pie I've ever had in my life. So that will be on deck this evening, or that for Thanksgiving. And then we're also doing pecan pie. And I think there may be another pie in there somewhere. But if I got apple and pecan, man, I'll roll out all day long with that. I'm good.
You'll have to see if we can set up a bake off, because I can tell you the apple pie that comes out of Abby's oven is fantastic, and it's all made from scratch as well. So maybe we'll get together and do a little blind taste test. We got to talk them into it first.
I see what's going on here. Oh, on the matter of desserts, matter of desserts, I did put in a call to an associate of ours for New Year's, by the way, and there is a very strong possibility that who's banana pudding is going to make an appearance at New Year's this year. I put in a special request, so hopefully that's going to be coming down the pike. Other things that I'm thankful for this year. I want to say big thanks to all of the folks over at Chris Kennedy Publishing and Theogony Books. Been a banner year for me in regard for signing on with those folks, getting a chance to relaunch the Mako Saga was a blast. Found a whole new segment of readers because of that move with them, and it's because they helped me position that book to get it found again. And so people loved it and they ate it up, and I'm super grateful for that. Detroit City Vice got to be the first Mako book I've written in a good 4 years. That came out this year with those folks. And then now we got the big news on Monday that I am going to be returning to the world of the Four Horsemen universe, and in very good company this time around. I will be collaborating on the sequel to Freebird Rising, which is aptly titled The Street Survivors. Shout out to Leonard Skinner Nation. But I'm going to be collaborating with the man himself, Chris Kennedy, for that. I sent him a story pitch because I had been, Freebird is still one of the books that I get the most questions about. There was something about that book that genuinely resonated with a certain segment of the 4HU readership. And so anytime I'm at a con, that's the one that everybody always asks me about. When are you going to write another one? Taylor Van Zandt and the gang, Swamp Eagle Security, we got patches. Like, we want another book. So, I had kind of circled that as a place I wanted to go back to whenever I was done doing Detroit City Vice. And I sent Chris and Mark Wandry a story pitch and said, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And they said, we really like this. There's some stuff going on in the 4HU right now that we're building to that we're not quite sure how we're going to get there. But this seems nice. And I said, okay, well, let's talk a little bit about that and let me see if maybe I can kind of help you guys with that. And so I took back the story idea that I had and kind of molded it around a little bit and noodled it around a bit to try and do a few different things, serve a few different purposes. And I came up with a kind of a revamp of the original story that I had in mind that achieved those things. And so I sent it back to him, and that's when Chris came back to me and said, I'd like to co-write this with you. This is a cool story. This is neat. This is going to do a lot of things. I want to be a part of this. So yeah, you can't. I mean, from my end of things, man, you can't be more flattered than that. When the co-creator of a mega best-selling science fiction property, comes to you and says, "We dig the crap out of your story, and so much so that I want to co-write it with you." So super, super jazzed about that project. That'll be coming in 2021. Obviously, more details will break on that as we get a little bit closer to that time. We're in the writing process now. So it's exciting. I'm really proud of the story idea as it is. But I'm really proud to be writing it with Chris. And just good to be back in the 4HU, man. That is a diehard readership over there. And I'm happy to bring them more of what it is that they want to read. So the Van Zants and the gang will be back.
I say you should be, man. That's a huge honor going through. And we talked about that a little bit, kind of when you were going through. That's something else. I mean, obviously science fiction's kind of I won't say a niche, but certain parts of it and how people go through, and you've definitely built yourself into that. So kudos. Definitely a good thing to be thankful about.
Well, the biggest thing that I had so much fun with writing in the 4HU. And this was kind of my thing from the beginning. I said, guys, I want to plant the flag in the Deep South. Anybody who listens to this podcast, man, I'm Southern through and through. I love it. I love where I come from. I love where I grew up. I love being from the South. And getting a chance to kind of show what that world looks like 300 years from now in that universe was just a blast. And those guys gave me full reign to be able to make that look and feel however I wanted. And as a writer, man, you can't beat that. Good grief. I mean, typically when you go write in other people's sandboxes, there's some things you can and can't do. And it was no different, in the 4HU. They have their laws and, rules that you can't break and things that you can't touch and da-da-da-da-da. But for the most part, man, those guys just cut me loose and said, go do your thing, man. Go do you. And I've had people come to me and be like, you know what, man? Growing up, I had my country crowd and then I had my geek crowd. And those were two totally different circles. You didn't mix that. But your book freaking did that. I got rednecks drinking light beer on a freaking tailgate, loading up on a starship to go blow away some freaking aliens. That is awesome. I can't go wrong with that. That speaks to me and my people right there. So there is that little niche of readers out there that they really identified with that. And when I put out Freebird Rising, they latched onto it hook, line, and sinker, and away we went. And that's why I always get questions about that whenever we do the con thing, man. People want to know when I'm going to write another one. And it's been a bit of a time in coming, but I'm really stoked that we get to do that now. And again, I'm going to have Chris riding shotgun with me on that. So it'll definitely have a little bit of his writing style and spice in there. And, Chris and I do great together hanging out. So I'm totally excited to see what that's going to look like from a writing standpoint and what we're going to be able to produce together. So, but yeah, man, so that's pretty well what I've got. I have so much to be thankful for in 2020. It's ridiculous. And have no illusions, folks. It's been a hard damn year. Our family, we've suffered some losses this year, that were not small deals. And, and we will definitely have a moment for the folks who didn't make it through 2020 this year. When Christmas time rolls around in particular, there are going to be some heavy hearts. But from top to bottom, man, we are so much more fortunate in our house than so many people are. Like we talked about before with small businesses. Heck, man, people who just got cut back because they can get fired, but their employers can't afford to pay them a full salary anymore. So it's congratulations. You can be unemployed or you can take a 40% pay cut because that's all we can afford to freaking pay you right now. Thankfully, my wife and I didn't encounter that. When everything went virtual, when everything went full remote, we had jobs that could facilitate that. And so we have worked from home since, May of this year, her in her office and me in mine. And, we're very fortunate in that regard from top to bottom. As hard as 2020 has been, we didn't get it nearly as bad as a whole lot of people that I know. And I am eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, it's the same here. I mean, job didn't change too much. There was a 4-week stretch for me where they actually sent me home and paid me in case I was needed to come back in to do something else.
Right.
And same. We both have worked over here, and it's been great. It's definitely not business as usual, but it's definitely it's been great to be able to continue to move forward. And and not have those issues. I know there's a lot of people that haven't been able to get into that. So, and then in turn, we did a whole show where we talked about, local businesses and trying to go through and trying to talk about where to go to, how to support those people that we just talked about, that you never know what's going to happen with them, what's going to happen with their business going through. And trying to make sure that, especially the beginning part of this, that you're looking for that local business, that place that's teetering, and it's still important. I mean, thankfully we've gotten some things back, back to a little more back to normal, but still trying to make sure that you are supporting those people that did hang on, that were able to go through, that are still on that thread, to make sure that you're keeping your money where it needs to be, and that's some place around that does the quality work for you day in and day out, and they put that money back in the community.
Yep, no doubt. Yeah, I can't echo that enough, folks. Go buy local this year. We got Black Friday coming up on this week, so a lot of people are going to be online doing that virtual this year. Look up your local stores, man. Go buy some gift certificates from your local restaurants and your little moms and pops places. That stuff is the difference in them having a livelihood a year from now and not. Always a good thing to shop local, always. But this year in particular, you can't overstate just how important that is. So get out, find your local moms and pops places, restaurants, craft stores, whatever it is that you're into, and go do that. So, all righty, guys. Well, this is actually going to be a quick hitter episode. We didn't really want to waste a whole lot of time with a whole lot of stuff. It was just kind of a time to reflect and to say thanks for all of the stuff that we've had in our lives this year. And it's been a hard year for a whole lot of people. So thanks to my friends, as always, Dave Daniels, Scott Esther. We'll catch him around next time for our Christmas episode. Got a fun interview on tap for that, so stay tuned there. But in the meantime, you know where to find us. We're online at dudesinhyperspace.com. We also do the social media thing at the Hyperdudes on Twitter and with the Facebook group. We will return to Dude Mail next time. So if you've got a question, hit us up on social, or you can email us at dudesinhyperspace@gmail.com. If you love this show, leave them stars. We say it all the time and can't stress it enough. That's how people find us. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, if they will let you leave 5 stars in a review, we would really, really, really appreciate that. But until next time, for Dave Daniels, I am Ian J. Malone, saying you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we will see you next time on the Dudes in Hyperspace podcast. See ya.
See ya.